Welcome into the Dynasty Tailgate podcast, brought to you by the IDP Army Podcast Network. It is good to be back with you. We don't got a Joe this week, so it's just going to be me, Billy, Adam Bravender, flying solo with you all. And we're going to talk some college sports. I actually went to the Louisville-Florida State game last week, so I'm going to give some thoughts about that game. We're going to talk about a little bit of this disappointment of athletes so far that we are expected to be better, but I think there's better things ahead. So we'll get into that a little bit, and then we will preview most of the week 4 slate. The main games, kind of give you a little bite here and there of who you should be following. So actually, though, before we get into that, let's tailgate. All right, welcome in. This is the Dynasty Tailgate podcast, and we are glad to be here today. It is, again, like I said, just me flying solo, so we are just going to bust through some of these thoughts real quick. But let's start right where I left off with this podcast last week, and that is Louisville football versus the Florida State Seminoles in Louisville. I got the shirt on today, repping the Louisville Cardinals. I got to see the Malik Cunningham experience up close. He is elite. I can't say anything other than that. He is a very dynamic player. I think that there is a lot there. Everything that I want Anthony Richardson to be is things I'm actually seeing from Malik Cunningham. Malik Cunningham is able to complete passes. He is able to throw touchdowns. He is able to scramble around and get yards after, broken plays. I would say he's going to have to bulk up a little bit if he is going to go very high in the draft, but I think he is going to be a guy that falls pretty late in these drafts. That is going to be somebody I think we can see in there immediately. I would say people are going to probably comp him to Malik Willis last year, but I'm here to say that I think Malik Cunningham is better than Malik Willis. Just there you go. I mean, Malik Willis played at Liberty, and so the competition that he was playing was not very good. When he did go against Ole Miss last season, he got, as exposed as a Liberty quarterback could be, but he did, in my opinion, get a little exposed there. So seeing Malik Cunningham do that against the Florida State defense, which was very good. Jared Verse did get hurt about midway through that game, so he kind of got to go against that part in the second half. But the game was close and well within reach. They should have won that game, honestly. And the 6'7" receiver, the transfer to Florida State, that guy is as tall as you think he would look in person. He is every bit of 6'7", that kid. So I can't wait to cover him a little bit better in the future, but probably not on this podcast. But I just needed to pop on here and say, Louisville football, I am sad that you all lost that game because Malik Cunningham is legit, and that was a very fun game to watch. Okay. So before we get into the week 4 slate, because there is a lot to say, we need to, I think, level set the expectations a little bit. I think last year we were doing this podcast. For those of you that have been listening for the last year, you'll remember we were getting exciting week after exciting week from some of these big name players. Garrett Wilson would pop off. John Mechie would have a week. Jamison Williams was doing his thing. It felt like every week, and just so on and so forth. It felt like every receiver was having a week. The running backs we were still trying to figure out who exactly, but there was at least a couple of elite running backs that we were like, oh, Ken Walker, he's going to be a dude at the next level. Isaiah Spiller, he's having some off weeks, might drop his draft stock a little bit. Like, we were having these conversations openly each week, and it was easy to maintain these. And that was from the very jump of the season. I know that, we're only through 3 weeks so far, but honestly, like, this is in such a strange season, everyone out there. I cannot stress that enough. This has been very weird to watch so far. There's not really anybody that's popping off the page. I mean, none of these receivers that we have going in the top 10 outside of Jordan Addison, we're going to leave him alone because he's playing with Caleb Williams. But none of these other guys are popping off the page, and you would think that despite being in bad situations. Now, Jackson Smith-Njigba has been hurt, so he has not been fully out there. But honestly, am I here to tell you he's the best receiver on that roster right now? I'm not, because Marvin Harrison Jr. might be better. And, it's not all a numbers game, but it's just, who does CJ Stroud feel most comfortable with? It's him. And it's tough. It's just been a very tough evaluation process thus far. I will say I still think we've got the groundwork, the seeds laid for the development to come for most of these players. But it's just, so far, it's just not been great. And I put this on Twitter today, and I need to say it on the podcast now. So Tyler Van Dyke, I had as my number 3 quarterback going in. I've dropped him down to number 4 or 5 below Anthony Richardson, and I'm making a mistake. Like, I need you all to know that too. I am making an active mistake because, and here I'll explain myself, his numbers have not been great so far. He has not lit up the page like we thought he was going to do after seeing him last season. He did not have great weapons last season, so the weapons argument that he doesn't have the receivers and players around him to be able to succeed, pish posh. I'm going to say that. Pish posh. Don't believe it. Don't think that is the problem at all. This is a Mario Cristobal problem. And my source for that is that Mario Cristobal had Justin freaking Herbert on his team. I need you all to go back and look at Justin Herbert when he was the quarterback of that 2019 season. No, it was 2020, I believe. Yeah, because he went same draft as Joe Burrow. It was a joke that he ended up number 6 overall. That was an absolute joke that he ended up that far down the board, because he had every tool and everything that we were saying about Justin Herbert. We just didn't see it because at Oregon, he was like a mundane guy. Like, he was just a regular old quarterback. Like, we all thought, looking around, that we saw Justin Herbert as like this amazing quarterback, and we saw the tools, we saw everything that you needed to see, but he just wasn't showing it out there on the field. And I think we're having the history repeat itself here with Tyler Van Dyke. And I think that he is closer to the player he was last year than the player that he has been through 3 games this season. It's just, A, it doesn't look the same. And B, it's just the offense is it's not explosive. It's not take chances. It's very conservative. And this is what Mario Cristobal did at Oregon as well. And it's proven and bearing fruit out here. I'm not going to lie to you. The next quarterback that's thinking, hey, I need to head to Miami, I would take Justin Herbert and I would take Tyler Van Dyke, because I think he's going to be fine at the NFL level. I think you're going to have to take this into consideration, all these recruits out there, when you're picking a school. Mario Cristobal is going to hamper your target, or hamper your entire evaluation, to be honest, because I've seen so many people that are out on Tyler Van Dyke. They just don't see it. They're like, oh, well, he hasn't, he didn't develop from year 1 to year 2. Like, it's just, he, just kind of disregarding him, throwing him to the side. And I'm here to tell you that is a mistake, friends. He is going to be fine at the next level. He is going to prove himself and put himself back up there. I'm going to leave him number 5, just because I think that there is something about Anthony Richardson that I cannot give up. And I don't know why I'm doing that, because if you showed me any other player with his horrible ability to pass, I would say, why is he even getting drafted at all? But there's just I don't know. I just can't quit the Anthony Richardson thing. I just think if he had better weapons around him, I think he would be better. And I just think that that's how it is. I don't know how else to explain it. But I think Anthony Richardson will be fine. And I think Tyler Van Dyke will be fine. And Will Levis is good. Do I think Tyler Van Dyke could be better than Will Levis? Yes, I do think that is very possible, but I just don't think we're going to see it this season. And I feel bad because Miami is on the rebuild as a program, and it looks like it's just going to swallow up Tyler Van Dyke in his evaluation process, because he should not fall out of the first round. I'm sorry. It's just, before the season, I was very hyped about there being 7 potential quarterbacks that could be taken in the first round of this draft. I still believe the talent is there. Yes, Anthony Richardson cannot throw a ball. That could be a problem as a quarterback. I understand what you're saying. You're sitting there thinking, well, why in the hell is he going to be taken in the first round if he can't throw a ball? there's something elite about his arm. There is something elite. I mean, his ability to run is second to none. That is the thing he needs to be using more at Florida. If Florida's going to salvage their season, it's going to be on the back, or actually on the legs of Anthony Richardson, and he's got to learn how to use that appropriately. Watch Lamar Jackson play football, Anthony Richardson. It's fine. Lamar Jackson's an MVP. He's cannot ever take that away from him. He was a league MVP. So I just wish he would learn how to do that a little bit more, because he's bigger, he's stronger, faster. I mean, all of these things. And I just wish we could see that a little bit more. But I just mainly just wanted to tamper how bad things are looking for some of these players right now. I don't even know who to tell you all is the RB2 right now. I don't know. I think it might be Sean Tucker at Syracuse. Do I feel good about that? No, not necessarily. Bijan Robinson looks fine. I still say that he looks extremely raw to me, and there's some major problems in his game, and I don't think that that's something that you can just brush under the rug. We thought maybe he was going to be a top 10 running back this draft, and top 10 in the actual draft running back, number one player in Dynasty overall. But man, I don't know how a team can do that, especially this last week in the NFL. There was only one running back that went over 100 yards. That was Christian McCaffrey. And I just don't know how a team is going to justify taking a player that high in the draft. And when you take a player that high in the draft, you know that they're going to get utilized. Like when Saquon Barkley went that high, when Nick Chubb went, well, he didn't go that high, but still, when you take running backs high, CMC is a good example of that. You take a running back that high, you know that they're going to get used in that offense, because that is going to be the focal point of that offense. However, with Bijan Robinson, doesn't get taken until the late 20s. I mean, he still might be a focal point of an offense, but man, he's got to work on some things before he gets to the NFL. Pass blocking is still an issue, in my opinion. And I just think that there's if he can't get the explosive play, a lot of those runs just die at the line. And I feel as if he needs to show a little bit more, because I think when we were watching Christian McCaffrey and when we were watching Saquon Barkley out there, we just knew that it would just felt different. And if he's going to be compared to those guys, because Miles Sanders, when he was at Penn State, we knew Miles Sanders was good. We never thought he was Saquon Barkley level, though. We knew he was good and that he could be relevant at the next level. Never thought he was Saquon Barkley good. And Bijan Robinson was treated that way last year, and I just think we still need to see a lot more from him before we say that and crown him that kind of achievement. I don't even want to get into the wide receivers. They're amazing talents. I don't know if we're ever going to see them this year. Quentin Johnston, don't know. Kayshon Boutte, don't know. I feel horrible, because these guys are going to be great dynasty assets, and you're not maybe even going to get to see them this. And I think this should go to show you, I don't know, maybe this is just me thinking, but or maybe me saying, but if you're a talented wide receiver, just go to the good schools with the good quarterbacks and the good offensive systems. Show your numbers. Why go through the headache of being on TC? Okay, if you're a hometown kid, I get it. Kayshon Boutte's from Louisiana, so I get that's why you chose to go to Louisiana State or LSU. And I get that. I understand the thought process behind that. But, man, wouldn't he be awesome on, Alabama right now? I don't know. And maybe when you go to LSU, you just think that eventually it's going to get better and it's going to show more. But, what's the last Brian Kelly wide receiver to come out? Chase Claypool? But he wasn't until, the third round or so of the draft. I don't know. I don't think when I think of Brian Kelly, I don't think wide receiver guru. I think of Alabama as a wide receiver place. Think of Oklahoma as a wide receiver place. Think of Ohio State as USC. They have the monsters of the NFL right now. USC, Monroe St. Brown, Drake London. I mean, list would go on. Jordan Addison's going to get added to that list because he made the correct call in going there. I just think there are outliers out there, but why aren't these kids picking better schools? I don't know. I won't. There is a sense of pride there, and I know we need to spread the talent around. I know I should be rooting for that, but as a Devy player, as a dynasty player, I would love to see these guys cook, and you can't see them cook when there's a bad quarterback. When the chef back there is a very bad chef, it doesn't matter how good his sous chefs are. The rest, the whole kitchen's going to fail. That ends the culinary coverage on this podcast. So I don't know. I just think the expectations are going to be lower this offseason. There's going to be a lot of hatred. Believe me, the hatred is if we get to week 6 and there's none of these guys putting up heavy numbers, there is going to be a ton of backlash from the Dynasty community that's like, oh, your 2023 first rounders are going to go real good now, aren't they? And they're going to like just start dogging the fact that you have all these 2023 firsts, that you thought this class was going to be good. Believe me, it is good. Just got to hold on. Just got to hold on. You got to stay with it. The talent is there. We just need to level set it a little bit because so far we're not having a lot of people pop off the page, and that is very frustrating. I understand. Okay, let's get on to week 4. We got some great games this week. A fantastic slate, in my opinion. So I'm going to start with what I think will be my favorite game first, and then we'll work our way down. So the first game I want to talk about is Clemson versus Wake Forest. DJ Ugalele, I think it's not ukulele, it's Ugalele, I believe. He turned into a good quarterback all of a sudden. He's kind of like after last year, we were still very frustrated with him not being the guy that we thought he was going to be. He threw for 400 yards in his start over Trevor Lawrence when Trevor Lawrence had COVID. And since then, he has not thrown for 400 yards in a game since. And we've continued that now. And it's just kind of level set it out a little bit of what we thought Clemson was going to be. That offense is not as dynamic as we thought. However, the part of the defense or offense I do want to talk about is Will Shipley. So he is a 2024 eligible running back. But I'm liking what I'm seeing out of the kid. He is very good, very consistent, and he is a guy that we are definitely going to be watching coming next draft. Next draft, I feel like I say this every year, but like the next draft's going to be awesome. Well, like the 2024 running back class does look really good. Travion Henderson, who's currently hurt, is going to be in that class. Will Shipley's going to be in that class. Like that's a good start, in my opinion, to what that class will be. Also on Clemson, Miles Murphy, I do want to mention him. He has been a disruptive force on that defense. The entire defense has been good. Brian Breesy had a family emergency that he had to attend to last week, so he was unable to play. But he should be back this week. If not, more power to him. Hope he gets everything right at home. That is where he is most needed right now. And he's able to come back in the next week. But if he comes back this week with Miles Murphy, that Wake Forest is going to be in for a day because that defense is ferocious. So Wake Forest side, Sam Hartman is back with a vengeance, and he is kind of picked up right where he left off. I'm liking what I'm seeing from this kid. This will be his first real test, though, and Wake Forest is his first real test, if we're being completely honest. And he's throwing to A.T. Perry a lot. I'm liking A.T. Perry quite a bit. He's coming on strong here. His connection with Sam Hartman is something that I'm enjoying watching and enjoying seeing it. So I am very happy and very excited to watch and see what this game looks like, because if Sam Hartman and A.T. Perry and the whole Wake Forest offense can cook this Clemson defense, all right, Sam Hartman might have my attention for a potential quarterback that could be, driving up boards. So I expect Clemson to win this game, but I hope Wake Forest can keep it close. All right, on to the next one. We got number 10 Arkansas versus number 23 Texas A&M. Texas A&M has not been extremely exciting so far. The Haynes King experiment has not gone well, so I don't think we're going to be seeing him a whole lot longer as the starter. Devin Achane has been solid, but not great for that team. I really was disappointed in seeing, because what he did last year with Isaiah Spiller, that 1-2 punch was just incredible. And often he looked better than Isaiah Spiller out there. So it was very cool to think like he was going to get the most reps on this team coming in to the season. And he has been kind of holding them up a little bit from the run game side, but Texas A&M just doesn't look good. That offense looks bad, and they're paying a lot of money in NIL deals to make that team relevant. And boy, are they the furthest thing from it right now. Well, maybe not the furthest thing. It's not like they're 0-5 or like 0-3, but in my opinion, they're not a very good team. They barely beat Miami, which Miami is not a team that you're like, oh, we just barely squeaked by. They were very beatable, and you only won by one score. So Texas A&M, this will be a good bounce back game for them. I'm still interested to see if Anais Smith can get more involved. His game's kind of hooked to the quarterback, and if the quarterback's not finding him, then you're not going to really see much out of Anais Smith. So I'm really hoping they can figure things out, and Texas A&M can figure this thing out. But I don't know. And then Arkansas, number 10, I would say they're slightly overrated at number 10. It's nothing against KJ Jefferson. I just don't know if I totally believe in the KJ Jefferson experience so far. They do have Jaden Hazelwood, who kind of took over, quote unquote, for Treylon Burks. But this team's kind of predicated on run game and a defense. And the running back is Raheem Sanders, another 2024 guy that we should be paying attention to. He has been tearing it up out there, and that will probably be the way that they beat Texas A&M, even though Texas A&M has been decent in the trenches. And I would say that seeing Raheem Sanders out there would be, it would be a breath of fresh air if we were able to see him kind of take down this Texas A&M defense. On the defensive side for Arkansas, we have Bumper Poole, who, despite having an amazing game, is also having a pretty decent season. I think he is somebody that we need to be looking at for a linebacker. He is not just I know what you're thinking, Bumper Poole. That is a very silly name. No. It's a good, strong name for a linebacker. I kind of like it. I like Bumper Poole. It's good. It's kind of great. And he's very good. And I think that he will be somebody that I think comes through come draft time. And they also have Drew Sanders, who currently has 5.5 sacks on the season, which is, I don't think is leading the nation, but it's close. I think he is like one of the top 3 in sacks. So to watch the Drew Sanders experience, he's coming on strong. He's has more sacks than Will Anderson, got more sacks than the kid from Army, who I'm blanking on right now. Oof, that's bad. Oh well. Drew Sanders is a guy that I think we need to pay attention to right now, though, and he is a guy that I really could see coming out of Arkansas to be one of the main defensive players in this upcoming draft. I'm pretty excited. Andre Carter was his name. There, came to me. All right, moving on. Got number 11 Tennessee versus number 20 Florida. So this is kind of a the red siren going off for Anthony Richardson. We're going to have to see you throw a touchdown. We are through 3 games so far, and you have not thrown a touchdown, Mr. Richardson. And I need to see at least one of those throws go in the end zone. The rushing touchdowns are fun. Don't get me wrong. And seeing Travis Etienne's brother, Trevor, run in the end zone, also fun for Florida. I enjoy seeing another Etienne in the league. It's a lot of fun. But I need to see you throw a ball into that end zone against this Tennessee defense, because this Tennessee defense is not great. So please, Anthony Richardson, please throw a touchdown. Please. That's all I'm going to ask. On the Tennessee side, Hendon Hooker has looked every bit of what we thought he was going to be when he came over from Virginia Tech. And to further on to that, I know that he's old. We're just going to get that out of the way now. I know that he's old. But I do think there could be some value for a team taking him in the draft. I don't know how many teams are going to need quarterbacks after this season. There are a ton of quarterbacks getting old, so there's got to be at least somebody. I still think the Giants are going to need one. I love Baker Mayfield to death. Panthers are going to have to look at a quarterback. I know they keep putting that off, but they got to do that. Obviously Atlanta, Seattle are going to be in the market for quarterbacks as well. I think that there's going to be a plethora of decent quarterbacks in this class that you can probably at least try out. Last year was kind of the chance of a lifetime for some of these quarterbacks that would not normally be considered first rounders or even up there, like Desmond Ridder, for example, who people are still in love with, by the way. You're never going, you're always going to be capped with what you're going to get from Desmond Ridder. It's kind of like Tim Tebow, to be completely honest with you. I know that that's a weird comparison, Desmond Ridder to Tim Tebow, because they don't really actually look a whole lot, not obviously look, but like the physique is not the same. Tim Tebow is much shorter and stubbier. They're capped with what they can do, right? And that was kind of the Tim Tebow experience, where like you're gonna win, but you're not like you can win a ball game with Tim Tebow. You're never like he's never going to be the complete reason that you win that game. He's just a gamer that's out there trying to game his team to a victory, and that's what Desmond Ridder is. And he does not have a fantastic arm, does not have fantastic legs, but I'm excited for Atlanta to give him a chance. Better than Marcus Mariota in my opinion. All right, on to USC and Oregon State. This game is just fun. I'm just mentioning it because of that. USC, obviously, I want to watch Jordan Addison work every time that he touches a field. I mean, he was my favorite receiver last year. Obviously he wasn't going to be eligible to be drafted, but I just, now that he is kind of the focal point of the wide receiver pool, I'm excited to see him. Excited. Like I'm pumped. I can't wait to watch him in versus Oregon State. Oregon State's got a pretty good team. I don't really know if somebody in this game will prove themselves as a draft person that I'm not really paying attention to. So something that I'm interested in. I guess we'll see. All right. On to Oklahoma versus Kansas State. I don't think this game will be particularly close. However, the draft implications of Marvin Mims on the Oklahoma side, he is like fantastic so far. No notes. I wish he was more focused at not him, but the team was more focused on making him the number one wide receiver. But they are spreading the ball around quite a bit. Dylan Gabriel kind of just is doing a thing out there. I kind of liking Dylan Gabriel a lot. I just cannot see it at the next level. I can't yet anyway. I'm hopeful that he could prove me wrong, but it's too much of the college level of quarterback, and that part is very frustrating to watch. I just don't see it working out the next level. But Marvin Mims, I do see working out the next level. Still wish you both out a little bit more, and maybe we'll get there by the end of the season because they do hit the weights pretty hard at OU, so I'm excited for that. And Reggie Grimes, kind of coming out of nowhere. We expect this defense to be good. I didn't expect him to develop that quickly. And Brent Venables has always put these kind of guys in the NFL. Like this is a classic, like Reggie Grimes on Clemson would have been just a classic Clemson player. So I'm very excited to see exactly what this could mean for him. But Reggie Grimes is in every play. It feels like he is in the back. He lives in the backfield, and he is getting enough sacks and tackles for loss to make everything that he has done so far worth it. Venables is doing a great job. On the Kansas State side, Deuce Vaughn, I still don't know where to put him overall. It's just a very weird running back quandary with him. And Kansas State has not played a particularly good schedule so far, so I don't think that he's gotten tested quite enough. But this Oklahoma defense is very frustrating for teams to play, so I'm excited to see if Deuce Vaughn and Chris Kleiman are able to cook something up to get these guys off their toes a little bit. And then on the Kansas State defense, as we had pointed out before, Felix Nduke Uzama, who is a linebacker for them. He is having a solid season so far. He's had, I think, 3.5 sacks. Pretty solid season. I would like to see, one of those pop games. I know that he had one last year where he really got, a bulk of the work and was able to put, a lot of stats on tape. So I'm kind of hoping we can see that from Felix Nduke Uzama in this game. I enjoy watching him play, and I hope that he can have a good week this week. So that's all I've got as far as like the big games, the matchups that I'm interested in. There is, a lot of good football going to get played this weekend. It's just, not a whole lot of exciting draft matchups for me to watch exactly, but we like football. We like college football. I'm excited. I'm taping this on a Thursday, so I can't cover the game, but I'm not going to cover the game as much. But like Coastal Carolina plays tonight, I'm really hoping we can see some more good things from Grayson McCall. He is really proven to me that he is something to behold. Air Force and Brad Roberts, the running back, I would like to see more out of him. Got some interesting things. That's on a Friday. And then Georgia, although they're playing Kent State, the Georgia defense is just so much fun to watch. It's just so much fun. I can't wait to watch them as well. Oh, and then Alabama, of course. I mean, they're playing Vanderbilt, but just watching them work is also getting interesting. The offense is not quite at the standard of Alabama. Shame, shame, shame on you, Mr. Saban. You did not get your offense at the same level they've been for the past 13 years. So, oh well, I guess, but Will Anderson finally, got his Heisman campaign back on track with that pick 6 last week. So that was pretty exciting to see. Wasn't exactly like they were playing, Georgia or, any kind of good game. But another piece of Georgia that I want to mention before I get off this real quick is that the Stetson Bennett thing. I thought he was nothing last year. I thought he was just a face playing quarterback, kind of like, and I'm not trying to take any shots, but like Greg McElroy when he played at Alabama, he was kind of just a face playing the position. And that's what I thought Stetson Bennett was. But I don't know. Stetson Bennett doesn't look bad this year. I don't know what he's been doing in the offseason. But he's definitely been working. And I don't know. Maybe Stetson Bennett's something that we can make into something by the end of the season. I just think this quarterback class is so much fun. Like last year's quarterback class is nothing compared to this. This year, there's probably like 10, 15 people. It's been like quarterback wise that I'm like interested in seeing what evaluation they show. Like whether at the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl is going to be lit this year, I'll bet, because you can't even get all these players at the Senior Bowl because there's just going to be so many players to put there. So I'm excited to watch that. And then we get the combine, obviously. I'm excited to get some of these people and their numbers. But this is fun. This is week 4. It looks like a great slate. Hope you all can watch college football this weekend. I'm very excited for it. And I hope you are too. But follow me at Ombre Vendor on Twitter. Please come hang out. Come talk. Follow the YouTube at IDP Army. We just hit 2,000 subscribers a couple days ago, and I'm very, very excited about that. I'm very happy to be playing a small part in the growth of the company. So awesome. I cannot wait to see you all over there. Please come hang out on Sunday mornings because we are talking all fantasy football and getting you ready for the week slate. We got start sit. We got underdog drafts going on sometimes. We have just a variety of topics, and we have a different revolving cast on those shows, which is always fun to watch. So please come hang out with us, and I'll see you next week.